Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, you're welcome to Sew with Mediva. And if you're a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, thank you for sticking to my channel. So in today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to cut and sew a simple play suit with side pockets. And I achieved this style using 2.5 yards of Ankara fabric. And this tutorial is very easy to follow and very beginners friendly. So if this is something you are interested in, make sure to keep watching and make sure you watch till the end so that you don't miss out on any detail. And if you find the video useful, if you find it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and also share to your loved ones. So I made use of 2.5 yards of this African print fabric for my play suits, and you're also going to need your tape roll, your chalk, your scissors, and your ruler. So this tutorial is very beginners friendly and very easy to make. So let's go ahead to fold the fabrics. So we're starting with the upper part of this play suit, and we're cutting both the front and the back panels together. So this is the front panel in a fold of 2, and the back panel is also in a fold of 2. So to get the amount of fabric to fold for this upper part, divide your round bust measurement by 4. Mine is 11 inches. I added 1 inch for ease, making 12 inches, and 1.5 inches for seam allowance, making 13.5 inches. So in a fold, I have about 14 inches. So when you open up the fabric, it is going to be 28 inches wide. So the back is 2 inches bigger than the front because of the zipper allowance. So towards the closed angle, you're going to have some extra inches there for the zipper allowance. And then the length of this upper part is going to be from the shoulder measurements down to the half length. So let me go ahead to mark a line at the upper part of my fabric. So from my shoulder to my half length is 16 inches, and I added 1 extra inch because of the joining allowance. So right now from this shoulder line, we're going to take all the vertical measurements. So the first one is from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 11 inches. Go ahead to mark yours. And from my shoulder to my half length, which is 16 inches. So just extend the lines this way. So note that you're taking all these measurements only on the front panel. So the next thing is to come over to the shoulder line and place the shoulder to shoulder measurements divided by 2. Mine is 8 inches. I've marked it there, and then from that 8 inches I marked, I'm going to come down by my round armhole measurements divided by 2, which is 9 inches, and then connect the points together. The next thing is to mark the neckline. So the wideness of the neckline I'm working with is 3.5 inches. It is still going to become 4 inches when we are done. And then the depth of the neckline is 3 inches, which is still going to become 3.5 by the time we turn it over. So I'm going to use the same neckline for both the front and the back panels. So you can do something different with yours, just depends on what you want. So I'm going to use that same 3 inches for the depth of my back neckline. So after that, this is what we have. So come over to this armhole line and come down by 1 inch, and then connect it to the neck width for the shoulder slope. I'll add half an inch to the top for the joining allowance. And then on this armhole line, I'm going to take the midpoint, which is 4 inches. And then on this new line we drew, I'm going to mark my round bust measurement divided by 4, which is 11 inches. And then I'll go ahead to connect the points together this way. So this is the armhole curve. The next thing we want to do is to mark the round body measurements, because this Playsuit does not have any darts. So on the bust line, I'm going to place my round bust measurements divided by 4, which is 11 inches. I'll add 1 inch for ease, making 12 inches, and 1.5 inches for seam allowance, making 13.5 inches. And on the waistline, the half length line, I'm going to mark my round waist measurements divided by 4, which is 9.5 inches, 1 inch for ease, making 10 inches, and 1.5 inches for seam allowance, making 11.5 inches. So I'll go ahead to connect the points together. So let's go ahead to cut it out. So we're cutting both the front and the back panels together. So after cutting out, I'll separate them, and then I'll open up the center back. I'll cut it open because of the zipper that will be attaching to it. So this is what we have after cutting out. So I'm going to set these pieces aside now. This is what the front looks like. So I'm going to set them aside now while we work on the lower part of the play suit. So moving to the lower part, we're going to start with the front panel. So the full length of this play suit is 37 inches, and the upper part we already worked with 16 inches, so I'm left with 21 inches. So for the length of this lower part, I have 23 inches here because I added 2 extra inches to it for the folding at the base. I hope you guys understand. So, and the fabric is also in a fold of 2. So to get the amount of fabric to fold, go ahead to divide your round hip measurement by 4. Mine is 11.5 inches. I added 1 inch for ease, making 12.5 inches, and extra 3 inches because of the crotch extension. So this is what I have. So I have about 16 inches here in a fold. 16 inches. When you open it up, that is about 32 inches for the front panel alone. So the next thing I want to do is to mark the vertical measurement. So from this waistline, I'm going to come down to my hip point, my hip line, which is 10.5 inches. Go ahead to mark yours. So after that, I'm going to take from the waist to the crotch depth. So to get my crotch depth, I normally divide my round hip measurement by 4, which is 11.5 inches. And then because it's a jumpsuit, I'll add extra 2.5 inches to it to make a total of 14 inches. But if I was making a pant, I would just add 1.5 inches to that 11.5 inches to make 13 inches. But because it's a jumpsuit, you want it to be very free. So after that, I'll come over to the hip line and place my round hip measurement divided by 4, which is 11.5 inches, and I'll add 1 inch for ease, making 12.5 inches. So I'm going to mark that 12.5 inches on the waistline as well. So mark whatever you got on the waistline also, and on the crotch line I'll mark that same 12.5 inches, and then I'll connect the 3 points together this way. So to get the crotch extension for the front panel, go ahead to divide your round hip by 4. Mine is 11.5 inches, and then divide it by 4 again. So I got about 2.8 something, so I'm going to just approximate it to 3 inches. So my front crotch extension is 3 inches, and then I'll go ahead to form a curve this way from the hip line all the way to the extension. So you should have something that looks like this. So after that, I'll come over to the crotch line. I measure what I have there all the way to the extension. I have 15.5 inches. So I'll get the midpoint. So from that midpoint, I'm going to just extend it all the way down. So I'm using this method because it's a play suit. So on that lower part, I'm going to place the thigh measurements there. So this lower part is where I'm going to place the thigh measurement. So my round thigh measurement is 27 inches. I added 1 extra inch to it for ease, making 28 inches. So I'm going to divide that 28 inches by 2, so which is 14 inches. And I'm going to mark 14 inches, making sure 7 inches is on the line, which is the midpoint. So you're basically sharing 14 inches on both sides of the line. So I'm going to connect it all the way to the crotch this way and all the way to the hip line. So I'll come over to the waistline and place my round waist measurements divided by 4, and then I'll add 1 inch to it for ease. So I'll go ahead to mark the waist measurements plus 1 inch for ease, and then I'll connect it all the way to the hip line this way. So after connecting, this is what you should have. So this is basically all for the front part of the pants. So let's go ahead to cut it out. So after cutting out, this is what we have. So I'm going to use these front panels now to cut out the back. So let's go ahead to do that. So for the back, I'm gonna head to place the front panels on another fabric that is also in a fold of 2. So the fabric is in a fold of 2, and I place the front panel on it, making sure I have some excess fabric on this side. I have about 4 inches on this side. I have about 2 inches on the other side, on the hip area, and I have 2 inches at this upper part. As you can see, I have 2 inches there. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to come over to the waist area and come up by 2 inches. So if you're on the small side, you can do 1 inch or 1.5 inches. So I took 2 inches and I just extended the line up this way. And then on this hip line towards the center back, I came out by 2.5 inches because you want your jumpsuit to be free at the back. It's not a fitted jumpsuit. I would have done 2 inches. And then on this crotch extension, I took 4 inches. I added 1 extra inch to the front crotch extension. So I'm going to just connect the points together this way all the way to the waistline. So this is going to be for the butt allowance at the back. So I'm going to then extend this line all the way to the hip, to the waistline I mean. So all this is just for the jumpsuit to sit very well at the back to accommodate the butt. So on this side, I'm going to take 2 inches. I'm going to come out by 2 inches for the in seam allowance and also for ease. I'll take 2 inches and then I'll connect it all the way to the crotch extension this way. And then for the side seam allowance, remember we took 1.5 inches for the upper part. I'm going to do the same 1.5 inches for the lower part. I'm going to take 1.5 inches all the way down and then connect the points together. So this is basically all for the back. Before we cut it out, we're going to mark the zipper allowance. So I'm going to just measure where I want my zipper to stop. So I'm going to come down by 9 inches, or let's say I took 10 inches, and then from that 10 inches I'm going to take 2 inches because that's the same zipper allowance I took with the upper part. And then I'll connect it all the way up this way. So this is basically all for the back. Let's go ahead to cut it out. So I'm going to start by cutting the lower parts before I separate them from each other. So I'm going to set the front panel aside while I cut out the remaining part of the back panels. So I'm going to cut out the zipper allowance this way. So after cutting out, this is what we have. So you're going to have 2 pieces of it as well. So this is what the back panel of the lower part looks like, and this is what the front looks like. So let's go ahead to start joining the pieces of fabrics together. So we're going to start with the upper part. So we're going to finish up the neckline first. So I'm making use of a bias strip to finish up the neckline. I'll just place my bias strip on it this way and then go ahead to stitch it all the way down very close to the neckline. I'll stitch it all the way down. So when I'm done, I'll turn it over to the wrong side. I will notch it and turn it over to the wrong side and then stitch down the bias strip on the wrong side. So place this part of your bias strip on the right side of your fabric this way, and then go ahead to stitch it very close to the neckline, and when you are done, you notch it and turn it over to the wrong side and also stitch it down. So I'll do the same thing for the back panels, and when I'm done, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after I use the bias strip to turn it over, this is what it looks like on the wrong side, and this is what the right side looks like. So I'm still going to iron it out so that it becomes really flat. So this is the back panel, one side of the back panel. So the next thing to do is to join the front and the back panels together. So I'm going to place them right sides facing each other this way, and then starting with the shoulders, I'm going to join it together using 1/2 inch. The 1/2 inch that we added to it, I'm going to stitch it down the shoulder areas using 1/2 inch. When I'm done, I would close up the sides using the 1.5 inches seam allowance. So when I'm done, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after joining the shoulders and closing up the sides, this is what it looks like. So I'm going to set this aside now while we work on the lower part of the playsuit. So for the lower part, we are going to start with the front panel. So we want to close up the crotch area. So I'm going to place the pieces together this way, right sides facing each other, and then I'll take it to my sewing machine and close up this crotch area all the way down using 1/2 inch. When I'm done, I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So after joining the 2 front pieces together, this is what it looks like. So the next thing is to insert the pocket before we join the sides to the back. So I'm going to come over to this waistline area now and come down by 2.5 inches. So we'll be using a simple inseam pocket for this. So I have my fabric for pocket cut out already, and the length of the fabric is about 7 inches. The wideness just depends on how deep you want the pockets to be. So I'll place it on it this way, right sides facing each other, and then I will go ahead to join it together using 1 inch. So when I'm done with that side, I'll do the same thing for the other side. I'll come down by 2.5 inches from the waistline, and then I'll stitch the fabric this way on it. So I'm going to repeat the same process on the back panels, on each of the pieces of the back panels. So I'm going to open up the back panels this way, and then I'm going to come down by 2.5 inches from the waistline, just like I did with the front, and then I'll place my pocket fabric on it and stitch it down. I'll do the same thing for the other side. I'll place it and then stitch it all the way down. So when I'm done with that, I will show you guys what it looks like. So after stitching down, this is what it looks like, and I also top stitched on the pockets just to keep it firm on the inside when we are done. I did the same thing for the back panels as well. So I stitched the pocket and I top stitched on the right side. So the next thing to do is to join the sides together. So I'm going to place them this way. I'm going to place the sides this way, joining the front and the back panels together. And then starting from the waist area, I'm going to use my seam allowance to close it up. When I get to the beginning of the pocket, I would raise my footer up and then I'll turn it and stitch the pocket in. So when I get to this other side, I will close up the remaining part of the sides. I hope you guys understand. So I'll repeat the same thing for the other side. I'll place them right sides facing each other and go ahead to stitch it all the way down, joining the sides all the way down. So when I'm done with that, I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So after joining the sides, this is what it looks like. So you can see how the pocket came out. So you know that we've not closed up the back at all. I want to join it to the upper part first before I close it up together. So I'm going to open up the lower part this way and just take note of the center area. The center is going to be the point where you join the front crotch together. And then for the upper part, I'm going to fold the waist area into 2 equal parts this way and just notch the center. So I'm going to take the part I notched now and merge it to the front joining of the lower part, and then I'll use my pins to hold it down. So after using my pin to hold it down, I'm going to take it to my sewing machine now, and then I'll stitch it all the way down. I'll start from that midpoint and stitch it on the other side as well. You're joining the 2 pieces together using the joining allowance that you added. So when I'm done joining together, I'm going to show you guys the next thing to do. So guys, after joining the waistline of the upper and the lower part together, this is what it looks like. So right now we're going to work on the back of this play suit. So I'm going to flip it this way, right sides facing each other. So we want to close the back crotch. Area. I'm going to merge them together this way, and then I'm going to stitch it down using 1/2 inch from that point, following the marked area all the way down to where I want my zipper to stop. So this open part is going to be for the zipper. So when I'm done, I'll show. So after closing up the back crotch, this is what it looks like. So the next thing is to join the front and the back crotch together. So I'm going to merge them this way. I'm going to measure the 2 crotch area this way, and then I will take it to my sewing machine and join them together. So I'll start from the center point and close it up on one side using the 1 inch seam allowance. I'll close it up. I'll do the same thing for the other side. I'll stitch it all the way down. So when I'm done with that, I'm going to fold in the base. You're going to finish up the base. So remember we took 2 inches for the folding allowance. So I'm going to fold in 1 inch first and then fold in another 1 inch and stitch it all the way around it. So when I'm done doing all of that, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after joining the crotch area of the front and the back panels together, this is what it looks like. So you can see the play suit is coming out beautiful already, and I also finished up the base just like I explained earlier. So the next thing we want to do is to insert the zipper. So this is the zipper I'll be working with. This is the zipper, so I'm going to show you guys how to insert it. So go ahead to open up the zipper this way. So I turned the play suit over to the wrong side so that you guys can understand better how to insert the zipper. So this is the zipper allowance of 2 inches, as you can see. And the aim is for the zipper to appear like this on the wrong side when you are done. So I'm going to fold in. I'm going to just use my pin to fold in 1 edge into it this way. So this is the wrong side of the zipper, and then I'll just use my pins to hold up the remaining part to the zipper allowance, the 2 inches mark. So I'll go ahead to stitch it in all the way down. Make sure you are stitching very close to the zipper, and then I'll do the same thing for the other side. When I'm done, I would fold in the edge and then stitch it directly on the 2 inches mark. So you can mark your zipper allowance so that you can know and follow the line when stitching. So I'll stitch it in all the way down. So when I'm done, I'll show you guys. So after inserting the zipper, this is what it looks like. So you can see how neat it looks, and this is the front. So this is the lower part I told you guys that I folded in. So the last and final thing to do is to insert the sleeve. So I'm gonna head to cut out the fabrics we'll be using as the sleeves, and we'll be cutting out the two sleeves together. So to get the amount of fabric to fold, divide your round armhole measurement by 2. Mine is 9 inches. I added 1 inch for ease and I added 1 inch for seam allowance. So I have 12 inches here in a fold. And the length of my sleeve is 8 inches, but I have 10 inches here because of the folding at the base of the sleeve. So the first thing is to come down by your cap's height. Mine is 4 inches. So to get your cap's height measurements, divide your round bust by 12 and add half an inch. So on the line I just drew out, I'm going to place my round armhole measurements divided by 2 and add 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance, and then I'll connect it all the way to the other edge this way. And then on this line I'll take the midpoint, mark the midpoint, and then I'll come up by 0.5 inches, forming a curve, and then I'll come and form another curve again by 0.5 inches all the way down. And then on the base of the sleeve, I'm going to mark my round bicep measurement divided by 2, which is 7 inches. I'll add half an inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. So I'll go ahead to connect the points together. This is basically all for the sleeve. Let's go ahead to cut it out. So after cutting out, this is what we have. So we're going to notch the crown of the sleeve, the uppermost part of the sleeve. This is going to help you when you are inserting the sleeve to the play suit. So let's go ahead now to fold the sleeve this way and take in that 1 inch seam allowance. So fold your sleeve this way and take the 1 inch seam allowance, right sides facing each other. Take it in. So when I'm done with that, I'll show you guys how to insert the sleeve. So guys, I have already inserted one of the sleeves, so I'm going to show you guys how to insert the other one. So I also finished up the base. So the first thing to do is to get the part where you notched, and then take the right side of the sleeve and insert it into the armhole this way. So match that point that you notched to the point you join the shoulder areas together, and then use your pins to hold it down. So you can use your pins to just hold the sleeve into it all the way around it. So you can see that the sleeve fits perfectly into the armhole. So I'm going to take it to my sewing machine now and stitch it all the way around it, attaching the sleeve to the armhole area of the play suit. So when I'm done doing all of that, I'm going to show you guys the finished product of the play suit. So you can use your pins to hold it first before stitching down. So guys, after inserting the sleeve, this is what it looks like. You can see how beautiful this looks. So this is basically all on how to make a simple play suit, and this is what we'll be ending this video for today. I hope you found it useful and I hope you learned something new. So you can also use this method if you're making a jumpsuit. You will still have similar results. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, share this video to your loved ones, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.